If you understand those three things, to de-risk yourself, to place the order correctly, and to take realistic PTs, you can do this.
Agreed. So let's build up upon the system. What happens after a failure to failure?
Possibility of a, let's say, if you don't hold the fail, or if you have not gained the failure, possibility of a reversal back down to the origin.
No. So, okay, well, maybe, but the way that I'm always trying to do stuff is, can you code?
No.
Okay, so in coding, you have this if then principle. If something happens, then we do this. And then this this then splits up in two more if else's, okay? Indeed, Mr. Envy. So what you will get most of the time after a failure to failure is a squeeze or sideways. So if you then know that, you can kind of know with the stuff you just said, you're not always certain, but you kind of have like the idea. People always want to trade one thing to the other and take the PTs as you said to, or 20 points, 40 points. But in the end, most of the time after a failure to failure, you will get a squeeze. So knowing that you will get a squeeze can give you a hunch as well of where your targets might be if you impulse traded this. If you're then looking for some more trades right here or right here, you know this is the squeeze. There's not really a failure to look at. And then we do the same thing here again that we talked earlier. Instead of holding the high, we swept the low of it. And after the squeeze, so we first have the failure, then we have the squeeze, and after your squeeze, you have expansion. Failure, squeeze, expansion 1, expansion 2, and then we held the line and then we attempted to go again. If we then fail again, you're probably going, in my opinion, like if you're failing again, you're probably coming back down here again to sweep this. So that's the way that I'm looking at the market. I'm like, okay, in which of these states are we right now? And if I know in which state of the market we are right now, I know which trades I want to take and where my targets might actually be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. Very nice.
So you have some more trades to show us?
Yeah. After those ones, I think this long, then I waited. Yeah, I had a long in here, 20 points. Did I short this one? I don't remember. I tried longing somewhere in here, but that was sort of stupid. And I think probably shorted maybe, or I don't remember. But yeah, I shorted this one, then long this one. There were some attempts, or one or two attempts in here that I got stopped out on, but then they played out. And then this one, yeah, I made try to do two shorts here, but this is what happens when, let's say, you're not looking properly. So on this one, as soon as this closed below, it seemed to me that possibility of going down to the origin. So I got stopped out on this one. But then, as Skinner says, let's say that as soon as you are getting stopped out on one trade is usually the indication that there might be another opportunity. Took the long, basically, and then took 20 points. After this one, I just took another short in this range. Clearly, you can say I've been I've been over trading, but yeah.
No, but like for example here, right, in this range. So the way that I would look at it is we had our squeeze, we
Yeah.
started our expansion. So we wanted to expand to the other high as well. We are at the other high. You're failing to hold it. I wouldn't short this. But again, let's restart the cycle because we're doing stuff over and over again, no? What do you want to do now? We're now creating a failure. So what do you want to do?
Creating a failure?
The X here, this
Hmm.
one, is a failure. If it loses, so what do you want to do?
You want to go to the origin or the swing point in like if you're talking about in terms of price action, then wait. This one failing here, you can return to this one, but need to do some local stuff. But the idea would be to returning to the most local swing
Why?
because the move is done and you have failed
So failure goes
to the previous failure.
correct. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
After that, what do we want to do?
If you hold this one, retest the previous failure.
Correct. What do we do?
Done.
Okay, what now? Squeeze
So yeah, squeeze, but
and then
then
wait.
and then wait. But
Sure.
you made a new high. You've tested the failure, and then you lost it. There could be a possibility of retesting again.
Sure, but let's make a simple rule because we're creating a system here, right?
Hmm.
We're squeezing, and I
Squeezing.
have the simple rule. after the failure to the failure, I don't want to take any more trades.
Ah, okay, very nice.
Because you know, if you're actively trading the market, you should already be in a position, right?
Yeah.
There we go. So then you just be like, okay, no hands, and I'm going to go take a drink, go for a walk, come back, and then revise what we just did again and again and again and again.
Yeah, do some gardening.
If you like that, if that's your jam, then sure.
Yeah.
So are you kind of understanding what I'm trying to teach here today?
Yeah, the basically a more systematic way rather than a random approach.
Yep, correct. And if you filter out the randomness, and if you have like in the end, what we did here is I taught you like 3 rules. And until when is envy asking until expansion. So let's go to the right. And what you will probably see is we either swept this high or this low. So of course we swept the low. So there's your expansion to the low. Then you're looking for another expansion to the high. And then we can trade again, right? Because here you have the simple option, the same as right there, right? In my opinion, this price action is the same as this price action. If you cannot hold and go from the previous range that made the low, this one, what's the higher probable play? New lows. And why can I say that over here? It's because we had our failure to failure, we had our squeeze, we have the expansion, and after the expansion, you want to keep on expanding. If you cannot keep on expanding, then it's very simple. What's the move that made us go lower? It's this one. When you lose it, you want to short the mid-range. And there's your short. That's one short, but you could have probably looked for a short earlier, dependent how funky you are with your entries. This might have been one I would have taken as well, like this one. Depends how good you're in the zone, etc., etc. But via this way, if you have like a system like this, it's actually very easy to journal and to self-iterate your process because you know what you're looking for. And once you know what you're looking for, the main thing that you have to still do is see that you're actually following the plan, right? And if you don't follow the plan, or if you don't follow the plan, you can just write it in your journal and say like, okay, here I'm wrong, or there I'm wrong, etc., etc.
Exactly. That's a very nice thing to teach because if you look at what Mr. Low is saying, they're both Mr. Low and Scholar are telling you and telling me that you want to be trading price discovery. You don't want to do just like keep on trading these ranges. Once it does price discovery, okay, back on the chart, back on trading again. So price discovery, back on trading. Same principle here, right? As soon as you went lower than this one, price discovery, opportunity.
Yep.
Wait. Okay.
Whenever I'm teaching people, this is what they have to know, you know. And I was kind of sick of like explaining more advanced stuff to people while they didn't understand this. Like I'm also telling people I teach to watch these sessions because this is what I expect everybody to know before they can actually move on. I just wanted to say because they're saying you're giving out so much, I'm just giving you guys the reasoning you have to have in your head before you can actually get profitable. Because even if you know this, there's a higher likelihood of becoming profitable, but you still need to memorize, how to actually trade as a system. And that's all I'm trying to teach you, right? How can you actually see the market as a system, as an engine that goes and goes and goes? Okay, go ahead.
Don't just copy what Scholar is teaching you, but actually understand every single thing. Because if you understand the things, then it will be easy to apply. But if you're just copying, for example, he teaches you 10SK, and then you look at this range and you go randomly that, oh, this is a top, this is this one, and now I'm randomly placing this one, and this is 10SK, let's say. That might work out, but if the understanding is not there, you will not see it every single time, or you will get confused that, oh, is this expansion, or is this contraction, or is this expansion? So, but if you look at how or why he's classifying this as an expansion or a squeeze, then you can get to a better understanding. Because at the end of the day, you need to be able to implement this. If you cannot implement this, then Scholar would be here wasting his time teaching you basically. So you want to be able to implement what he is saying.
Will we do live in queue? It's already 7. We can if you want, but
What does squeeze mean? Did you just join?
I think it is. It's like a first time chatter,
I
so I
see
think
it.
he. So you can, if you can, you can explain. I'll check if it's good.
Yeah. I do need to understand if he understands failure to failure. Do you understand failure to failure? Squeeze mean lemon? Yeah. But okay, do you understand failure to failure? Okay. So once a failure to failure has been done, right? Why is this a failure to failure? The reason why this is probably you have to look to the left. You have the high, failure, made the low. Then you had another failure here, which was failure to lose levels. So that one leads to this one. And as Scholar showed previously, this was, let's say, an hourly play. So after this, these two moves are done. This is done. You test the origin, failure to failure done, and another failure to failure done. So after these two happen, what will price tend to do? Squeeze until expansion. So it just means that you will probably be, I don't want to draw anything like that, but it just means that you would be stuck. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Wedge.
yeah, yeah. Please just do it.
Uh,
You'll be stuck in a range, just like here, and then you'll see expansion. So hopefully you got the understanding.
Beautiful.
Secret sauce even. Yeah, bull flag. No, no, please. Not those things. Yeah, I use wedges. That's my
That's your secret.
yeah, that's my secret.
Will this be on the Bitcoin update? It will just be a VOD. I might do the Bitcoin update later today, but we kind of went over Bitcoin at the start, so I might just use that as the Bitcoin update, even though there wasn't too much said, to be honest. Wait, so Jax asks if a squeeze is expected, put resting orders at the second failure might be probable. Sure. It all depends. Well, you still need to know what failure made us do what things, right? If you don't know what failure did certain things, then you don't know that this is actually a failure. Why is this the failure? Because it achieved previous highs. So you knew that if you make a new failure here because you can't actually achieve the high, then you will probably want to take out that, because what are a lot of people doing, or certain algorithms, is they're actually looking, because this here as well, it's very simple, is also the origin. So this is the high, this is the low after the high, and then you have this. So let's say that you have a swing algorithm. What happens then is very often you want to take out these algorithms. Now in this case it didn't get taken out, but you get what I mean, right? You're basically hunting algorithms as well. In this case, it didn't catch it up until the squeeze, but probably the algorithm already took a PT right there as well. So yeah. So basically, you're always hunting for liquidity, and one system, let's say you just have a failure system, and eventually it'll get countered by another system, but over time it's still profitable, right? So locally, NQ made price discovery needs to gain that move that to the low. You mean this one? Sure, you cannot lose it anymore. If you start losing it, you know you're in for a short, because after expanding, you want to continue. If you cannot continue, you will be going down. If you can identify what levels took us up and what levels took us down, you are 90% there, Mr. Low. Oh, what a great quote. So yeah, any more questions or any things you're still wondering about or what you want to say?
For the person I think who asked resting order question, I seem so you're saying if squeeze is expected, putting resting order at the second failure might be more probable. By resting order or second failure, do you mean let's say here or here? If you scroll up and see what Mr. Lowe said, what did Mr. Lowe say? Scroll up and you will see he said once a failure to failure has happened, what does he want to see? To place a trade. You want to see an expansion and then you take the trade. You do not place resting orders straight away. He basically said, in other words, that you want to see price discovery or you want to see an expansion before you take the trade. Same case with what Scholar said. So you'll have to be patient. If you're not patient, you will not find the probable setup. What's considered as an expansion? So in simpler terms, if you see price just doing something like this, going sideways, this would be squeezing. And if you see price doing price discovery, meaning making new lows or new highs, That's expansion. So everything is related with price discovery. What caused price discovery? What held price somewhere to cause price discovery, and so on and so forth. The reason why Scholar doesn't trade these is because there is no price discovery. He likes to trade price discovery. That's it.
Don't take the hard trades, take the easy ones.
Yeah. Take the price discovery ones, like Scholar takes them. Yeah.
Personally, I myself don't trade a Skinner as well. I trade like he's a goat. If you want to trade like him, you will have to start off with trading a system and actually learning more and more systems because of course, like I just taught you the basic system. But after that, there are even more systems for you to figure out, like micro systems of things that happen in between and how you can play even in on a smaller, like if you dissect these three things that I just said, in between are different systems working as well, right? So that's what you then have to do as next step of becoming a trader. But that's, well, most people should just start off with these basics, of course.
These are basics, but very important. And you should know that there are steps beyond these, but you cannot jump steps. I'm pretty sure the Scholar didn't jump steps, so it doesn't come in one day or in one session.
Yep. Even for the people watching this now, like you'll like I remember when I was starting out, when I was looking at Skinner and I was like, man, what is he doing? I cannot understand it. You'll just have to grind it out, go over it over and over and over again. And in like 3 months, of course, you can become like a lot further as well. So glad I
Exactly.
could catch and record this one. You guys really helped me understand all of this. You're welcome, and that's why we're here. That's the meaning of this community as a whole, right? So yeah.
Take this knowledge and practice it, and then also discuss them back, because I think Scholar appreciates questions. I don't think whenever you ask a question, he's going to answer. If you have put in the effort, he'll be there. And other people in, let's say, the Discord. So practice, ask questions, do discussions, and actually do foresight trading. Like, look at the chart, look at the projection, apply what Scholar told you, do it. If it doesn't work, no problem. Take a screenshot, look at your mistakes, then come here and discuss with the community.
Skoller, on this recent short, what made you take the upper one? This one? It's failing to hold a new high. You have the high here, you sweep it. It's basically the same trade we did earlier. I don't know how long you're in this stream already. But for example, what we said was we had a move to the high here. Here you can see how they actually did it right there. They actually achieved it. Here you can see they're actually failing to achieve it. So the way you could have taken this as well is they're failing to achieve it. You smash in, you look for your 5 points or whatever point stop loss you have, and there you can go. And then you use the 10SK over there to the left. You lose the bottom side of it. You already went in the low, like you already went to the low, rejected the mid. You come again lower than the actual low, so you lost this block. And because you then lost this block, you can actually add on to the midpoint again as well. Now this is a little bit of a more advanced way of doing it, but yeah, just go back in the vault and you can see it, I think. So those are the only two trades I would have taken there. There is always the probability of you being able to hold the move to the low, but that's just trading, right? And it's something like, it took me a long time before my mentality was actually trading ready. The moment you don't really care about the money anymore, it becomes a lot easier because you can just take the trades. Why? Because you know it's right in your system. If it's not right in your system, then you're just guessing. If like that's why I'm always saying it's so important to know what the environment is doing. It's knowing in what state of your system you're currently in. And this is actually what I hope you guys will now know. The systemization that you can get in trading is absurd. And that's just what I'm trying to show you guys here. Of course, it could have been that I smashed here and they went up one more time and swept me out and then dumped, but so be it. It was a good trade, right?
Regarding the risk one, you make sure that you're not actually, let's say, trading with the expectation of, oh, I want to make this much money on the trade. Make sure that whatever profit you're aiming for is insignificant to you. For example, if you say, oh, I want to make $100 a day, but this is something you want to, let's say, make. But what would you have to risk? Somewhere around, let's say, $30 per trade, thinking about 1 to 3 risk reward. You might not be okay with risking $30. What is the lowest amount that you'll make that won't affect you or that won't make you excited? So let's say $10. I am pretty sure that $10 to you, or let's say $5, whatever amount would it be, it's insignificant. So when the money you're making is insignificant, the risk will also become insignificant. In other words, reduce the risk. So don't think about that, oh, I can accept this risk, but rather what you can handle. So only risk what you're comfortable with. Mhm.
Indeed, and one of the easier things to solve this is just
Yeah,
like we're not affiliated with them or anything, but just try an FTMO or try like a top
yeah,
step. We're not affiliated, but the
yeah.
main reason what that will help you with in this case is you're just putting down 150 bucks, I think is the lowest tier you can get a month. Sure, that's a lot of money, but let's be honest, if you're trading with like $20 stop loss or whatever, in the end, you'll be losing that amount anyway if you're actually actively trading. It's better to just go with the FTMO and practice, practice, practice. Then you still have like a little bit of that feeling that you need to actually trade well because, of course, there's still money on the line and you can actually gain a funded account if you do win. So that's what I recommend most people. Let me go over this question. How important is taking the trades that aren't in the direction of the overall trend? It's not too important if you know when a trend is actually going to reverse or how you systemize that. Scholar, does the amount of time spent in a range affect how strong, weak the range resistance support will be when price goes back to it again? In my opinion, no. You can, for example, accumulate like a month in some stocks, and then they pump and then they just dump, right? And how did they probably dump? They probably retested this, tried to go up, and they just rejected it and shotgunned it down. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because all that matters is going up and holding it. If you don't hold it, you should have already been out of the trade right here rather than, forcing the trade. People trading decent TIA still losing money are probably trying to become rich, not making money. Indeed, indeed, indeed. I
Mhm.
just want to
Yeah.
become market maker and wreck people. Well, that's the sweet dream of all of us. But let's start off with this, and then maybe later on in like 5 years. Sure. What did you want to say?
So, what Mr. Lowe said is basically hitting home exactly. So you cannot, if you have decent knowledge of TA, the price action, but you're still failing that in execution, aiming for way too much, and like you want to make money rather than following the correct process that's discussed. As I said, reduce the amount, and it will come to you. And then the other thing about this restriction, if you stay too long in a zone, are the restrictions, uh, let's say, important? No, not really. All you're doing when you're going or squeezing is just accumulating. You want people to enter trades in here so that there is more liquidity to be taken once break out of the range, up or down. The market makers are not trying to wreck people. They're just trying to make their own money. And the best way to make money for them is by seeing where the liquidity is to be taken. For example, if you say market makers, if you had, let's say, longs from in this range and you didn't take PTs, and you said that, oh, market makers drop price to take out your stop. Well, not really. They just wanted to buy lower. They wanted to buy lower and they wanted to sell higher. And how do they buy lower? By just lowering the price, buying, and then selling. The market makers are not your enemies, they are your friends. Without them, you can't buy at a lower price. If you think from that perspective, you're you won't be able to trade effectively. Just think about the market makers as your friend. And the reason, if you think that they're hunting you, they're not really hunting you. They're just hunting liquidity. Because of the failure here, you have the understanding that we are gonna make new lows lower than this one. If you then have a long in this range, if you have longed this one with the tiny stop loss here and you have seen this failure because you didn't take PTs here, you have seen this failure and then you get stopped out. Is that the market maker's fault? The problem here was not taking PTs or not getting out of the trade as soon as you saw the failure. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the mentality needs to be on point. Otherwise, you will not be able to use the knowledge that Scholar has taught you. Let's come up with a trade idea. Range to look at. Okay, where did you fail or where is your swing? Don't have to be accurate, just for now, just getting an idea. Swing, your failure, let's say somewhere around there. Okay, did you make new lows lower than this yet? No, you haven't. Okay, did you make new highs? No, you haven't. Maybe the best idea would be to just wait. I mean, in terms of that, you could wait for new highs or new lows. But then if you're asking very locally, then it becomes a bit more, then you have to think a little bit. So, yeah, so what did we do? This is your most recent local swing. Okay. Did we make new lows lower than this one? Yes, we did. We actually went all the way to here. Okay. So in this range, what would be your failure? Somewhere in here. Okay. This one. And then since this is the lowest low, now do you see? when you have to do something like this, you have to look into the range becomes tighter and tighter. So that's why it becomes a bit harder. But okay, you have flushed, done, and then you regained this range. What would, let's say, be the possibility be? Going up to tag this one or the low ranges? So is there a trade right now? Probably not. Because would you be really be wanna be taking these trades in here? No. Let price go up to here, new highs, fail, short opportunity to take it down to somewhere here. All you're looking for is 20 points. Done. And then 5 points. Wait for a new high to be created here. Can't see cursor? Unfortunate.
There you go. So just to bring it back to the same thing again, though, guys, right? We didn't have a proper squeeze. We made a new low. We held the mid of the failure, right? The mid, the move that made us go above and then made us lose it. Then I ask myself, where's the failure that made this accumulation? It's right here. It also is the low of our tennis case. So what would my trade be? Either this, but we made a new failure, probably going here. So if we're going like that's the failure that made us start the down move. So what I'm looking for is this to be taken out. If for some reason, because that can happen as well, we don't get it, then I'm looking for that to be swept out. Failure to failure. If they're slowing down and they're blocking it and blocking it and blocking it, then you're looking for this to be taken out. There we go. We'll see now. If they cannot sustain it, then you're probably looking for a move down. Somebody asked a question a little bit all the way to the top from Orange Nash C. Newbie question: for someone who never traded NQ and isn't planning on anytime soon, how much money do you need to trade NQ while risking 0.5 or 1% trade? Well, I would suggest if you want to start out, you just do the M and Q, and then you have to trade with like a 10k account or 5k account should be enough. But in my opinion, because the amounts that you will be risking, then it's a lot better to just start off with the top step, because in like 2 trades, you'll be risking the same as a top step. And the first time you're doing it, you'll probably lose more money anyway, than the 150 bucks. And the issues a lot of people have, and that I also had, is when you're trading in Q, it's giving you so many trades. And because you're having so many trades, you start over trading. And over trading creates a lot of emotion. And when you're having all of this emotion, what you will then have is you will be like, it has to go up, it has to go up, it has to go up. And you double down, double down, double down. And you're
Trading
just
errors.
taking,
Yeah.
and you're just taking huge losses because you're very, very emotional. That's the danger of trading in Q, because a lot of people that started with NQ and didn't do it with a firm end up blowing up their account for that reason, because of the emotion that comes free. They actually released how many people pass these tests. And funnily enough, 99% lose the test. And then there's 1%, and out of that 1% that do actually obtain a funnel account, more than 70% lose it again within the first month.
Exactly.
And here's our target on NQ. So yeah.
Yeah, there you go. On the
Well,
higher.
let's do the full analysis. Maybe from like the 4 hour-ish and then move down.
Okay. Okay. How far have we gone up? Oh, okay. Somewhere in here. But okay, let's see here. On this one, there's your highest high in the range, and there's your low after we made the high. So again, you try to find what made the low and then what made the high. So it does seem to be somewhere in this range. Don't have to be accurate and can confirm from the lower time frames, right? So you lost, tested, and made new lows. You gained and made new highs. Okay, so since we are above it, we need to hold it. If we hold it, we go higher. Otherwise, we come down. So now let's see what's happening locally. We could look at this one as well, but since we are above it, we can just look above. So what's going on in here? Okay, so your top failure would be somewhere here. Does that make sense very locally? Yes, it does, right? And then what did you do? The same thing on the 4 hour is now playing out on the 1 hour. So previous highs, new high, swing started from somewhere in here, and then you seem to have lost or you failed to hold here. Okay, let's flip the chart. What's the probable move? Okay, new low done. Since you gained something, possibility of going up to retest the swing. somewhere in here. For now, that's done. So if you hold it, there could be a reversal in play, something like this. But I haven't actually, yeah. So in this one, again, you have a small, let's say 10 SK going on in this range as well. So invert the scale, back again, where's your failure that made the low, right? Lowest low, and then you can see them holding here, making new highs, failing, going lower. The same thing with this box, you have another box here. This is what you want to be held. You've already went below it, closed above it, tested it. That means retesting the failure in here. If you then gain the failure, looks good, otherwise drop. But if you see, again, what do you want to do? Is the failure to failure done? Well, since we made new highs and tested this one, failed here, did this one, so you'll probably be going into something like this. So you want to wait and see what happens here.
And as well, so I wouldn't even look for longs on, let's say if the 1 hour is right there, because what we've already done is we're trying to hold a high range. So the next one is indeed, as your arrow says, making a new low,
Yeah.
lower than the failure that made us go up, right? So here, same thing. What's the level this failure achieved? That one. So you want to hold that one. If you do not hold it, you can look for shorts. You then look for shorts with the target of high or low. Now we're playing on the 1 hour. This is not the 1 minute on NQ, so probably you do want to take a PT at the highs. And if you really want to, you can take, you can take a long if you're really into that as well. If you believe that we would go higher, right? Because remember, if you hold a high range, there is a higher probability of actually making new highs as well. So the stuff that Demon just said, going for the failure is indeed a higher probability if we can start achieving it.
So as for the shorts, I don't see any shorts. No short in play.
Probably after going to your arrow indeed.
If you then go to here, obviously you're not shorting because the move's already done. You have made new lows. What you're looking for is new highs and then losing something. But if you just want to short because we went to here, then you'll have to go even lower and you have to look even lower for the failures. So you're just, as Scholar said, you're just playing into the squeeze move. Why not instead, let's say, wait for the new high and then there would be a clear indication of the short. So this would be what you're looking for. You want to short? Sure. Good opportunity to short here. PT, PT. But then make sure you don't do something like this. So if you want to take a short here, take it after the failure. Maybe you have something like this. And then your target, the second target, let's say, is this one, but you're taking a PT here just to make sure that in case price reverses from here, you still have secured your profits. And right now, it's not possible to make this trade. I mean, you could force it to make 3RR because you don't have anything locally. But once price does the failure, then you probably would have something locally place your stop loss. 3-minute short with 4-hour target, big no. Yeah. So for this short, you at least want a 1-hour failure or a 15-minute failure. You can say that the move is done even if you didn't sweep the origin. Yeah, you don't need to make new highs or new lows. That's what Scholar means by squeezing, right?
Yep.
Squeezing.
So let's
Yeah,
say you just hold a high range there and you're then starting to achieve stuff, then the move can be done as well. So they don't always have to sweep.
yeah. That's why your PT shouldn't be a sweep, but rather the test of the failure itself. So if you're in a long here, this is your PT. You're not looking for a breakout or a new high or a sweep, at least not on your first PT. You can be greedy with your third PT, or maybe in some cases second PT or fourth PT. First PT must be very realistic here. The principle is hold the previous failure, go to the next failure. That's it. Principle done. Don't focus on sweeps or it has to make a high, it has to make a low, it has to do this. You'll overcomplicate yourself. If you took the long here, PT, you're done. You're not looking for anything other than a test of the previous failure somewhere around here. Yeah, that's it. You're not looking for something like this. That is unrealistic. So you can be greedy. Yeah. So you guys chart this current 3-minute PA when you all have time. I was trying to your hand chart the FSE system on it. The same PA on the 3-minute on this chart. Oh, on BTC. Okay. So let's look at The perpetual, wait, you already have the perpetual one, so yeah, let's look at this one. But the noise on 3-minute BTC makes it harder. But do you see why? I don't know if you were you here at the beginning of the stream? So go to the 1 hour, look at this one. If you want to take a trade here, you first arrive here. You don't begin by looking at the 3-minute. In simple terms, I'm going to go over it quickly to get to here. So you have your high, your failure, your low swing point, let's say, which made new highs here. Okay. Failure, swing. Low, new low, move down, you gained, continuation. But since this is a top failure, this is the low swing, there's probably something to be gained in the mid range as well. You lost this one, went to the low, failed, made new lows, gained. From there, after the gain, you then get the mid one. So objective is to make or test the previous failure. Okay, done. So what are you doing? Failure to failure done? You'll just squeeze. So what is going on? What does it mean, by the way, by squeezing? Can anyone in the chat answer? Essentially, price action wise. Failure to failure on the inside of that movement, smaller failure to failure, shorter failure to failure moves. Yeah, beautiful. Everyone in the chat understands that. Very nice. So yeah, exactly. So you're just doing what is the swing of this move? Somewhere here. Okay, flush that one. Go to the failure of the move that brought us down. Do this one, and so on and so forth. So what are you doing in this move? Since the failure is done, you go to the swing of this move. Done. Now you're going to the failure of this move. That's the part where we reached to in the beginning of the stream. So because you're here and you had already flushed the swing here, possibility of coming up and retesting the failure. Going to the 15-minute might make it a bit more clear. Okay, so because you flushed somewhere in here, right, the swing, you will now come up and tag this failure. So what could be your 3-minute play? You already have things to look at from the hourly, from the 15-minute, 4 hour, 1 hour, and then now you're on the 3-minute. In terms of the 3-minute play, what is it that you find noise, by the way? So I can have an idea. Like you said, 3-minute, there is noise on the 3-minute. Is it these moves here? You're assuming the current high is expansion. I mean, locally it could be an expansion, but on the 15-minute, look where you are. You haven't made any new highs higher than this one or new lows lower than this one 3 days ago. This one was 3 days ago. So you're just waiting. Bigger picture is still waiting. Yeah. So this was 2 days ago and then 3 days ago. You're still within this one. You're looking at a 3-minute expansion when, let's say, you may not have the idea of what's going on the hourly. If you have this one from here, if you have identified the move is over, then you could look for a short, but you have to be very realistic with your PT. What could we look for in the 3-minute? Okay, failure tested, move done. So now you go to the, let's say, the 1-minute. You're looking here. Okay, you made a new low. Where is the failure? Somewhere in this range or the swing. So what are you looking for? Okay, we lost it, tested it, and on the 3-minute, the move is done. So possibility of, let's say, coming down and testing this range. As soon as you, let's say, you see a failure, you're waiting, by the way. All of this stuff, you have to wait until you see something lost. You can't just do it randomly. So let's say this would be a short. But would this be worth it? Because you're doing the 3-minute. You need to lose 22975. This one?
Well, that's not a new high, so no. More to the left. He's looking at the failure, I think.
This one?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. This could be a first PT. But then obviously this becomes not even worth it.
Plus, we've already moved it, used that. So we've used the mid, but actually also the low of the 10SK to the left here. So for that reason, well, they overdid it a bit. They just tested the top range. But they held the mid, so now you indeed just want to, as he says, take out this one for your first one. Because if we take out this and we keep on holding it, there's another chance that you create a new failure, and then you want to take out this again.
Let's say for the 15-minute, the move, like the main objective of this very local move was achieved. That means as soon as we lose something, there could be a possibility of retesting stuff, let's say here, and then this one. So it's all about how quickly you take PTs. Probably you would have to take this one because in the local range, this did make new lows. Also, actually, this made this low, and then you had this one. So
let me quickly check something. Here again, right? What's the thing you want to hold? Previous failures. If you don't hold previous failures, you're going back and sweeping the origin. In this case, they almost held it. So what do you want to re-achieve there now? It's basically this, the top range of it, right? So if
Yeah.
they now just fail with the mid, where we are right now, then you can come back down. If you then really lose it, you can come back down one more time. But if you then fail it, then you're having a shift of trend. So yeah, all
Yeah.
good.
And you see the opportunity that you got with the retest on
Yep.
the same level, basically. Could you go back to 3 minutes and explain how you would enter the short you showed, please, and why?
Detailed explanation will be in the third video. It will only be about 10 minutes long. Focus solely on this topic. If you don't want to miss it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications.